I've made $1.3 million in the last 12 months with my coaching business using one single system that I like to call subconscious conversion. And it completely removed me from competing with any other coach and doing the same thing. While everyone else was grinding in the DMs, begging for calls, posting random content, hoping that something would stick, I built a system where clients came to me pre-sold. Now I'm 22. I work 4 to 5 hours a day. The business runs without me being the bottleneck. If you're already doing 10 to 30K a month and you're stuck, this is the missing piece. If you're starting from zero, this is the exact roadmap you need. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 4-step system that took me to 1.3 million and how to build it for yourself. Let's get into it. So quick context on where I started. 2 years ago, I was doing what most people told me to do. I was hustling and I was working 80-hour weeks because I thought all I had to do was grind. I was editing and posting all my content myself. I was sending DMs myself. I was closing deals myself. I was fulfilling clients myself, all while trying to figure out how to make the company grow. And that kept me stuck at a revenue ceiling of 5 to 20K a month. I couldn't break past it because I was doing everything myself. I tried everything. I posted more content. I ran ads. I hired a setter. Nothing fundamentally changed because I didn't have a system. I was just reacting to whatever the market threw at me. Then I had this moment that changed everything. I was on a trip with a business friend. We both woke up at the same time. I immediately grabbed my laptop and started responding to hundreds of texts, figuring out what I was going to do for the day, putting out my fires in the company. He got up, opened YouTube, and started watching content, just doing market research. That's when I realized I had literally no system. I was working 12 hours a day just to keep the business alive while he had built a program that sold itself. Now, he wasn't working harder than me. He wasn't posting more than me. He wasn't even better at sales than me. But he had one thing that I didn't, a system where his authority converted automatically. People came to him pre-sold. The sales calls weren't about convincing. They were about confirming the actual fit and collecting payment. The content wasn't random. It was strategically building belief before the DM even happened. That's when I reverse engineered that exact system and turned it into what I now call subconscious conversion. And once I installed it for me and some of my clients like Hadi Abdel, Hussein Farhat, Dirk German, Josh Heverly, Vincent Fisher, and more, everything changed. I went from 20K a month to 100K a month. Then past that, now I'm sitting at 1.3 million in tracked revenue in the last year just for myself and over 99 million for my clients, and the business runs without me being the bottleneck. Let me get into exactly how it works. Phase 1 of this is to establish authority. Now what this means is this is your foundation, your offer, your positioning, your ICP. This is what makes you the automatic answer before a viewer is even directed to your page. Step 2 is to magnetize attention. What I mean by that is your content strategy. It's not random posting, it's content engineered to program the subconscious. You're creating content that proves you as the only logical choice and completes the sell on the viewer, all while they're unaware that it's even happening in the first place. Step 3 is a seamless sales process. By this point, they've already seen your authority and they've been conditioned by your content. Steps 1 and 2. Now the sales process has become super simple. You're not convincing anyone, you're diagnosing it. The DM to call process is just confirming what they already believe, that you're the right person to solve the problem, and the sales call is just collecting the payment and a formality. Now the last step, step 4, is to systemize conversion. This is how you remove yourself from the process. You hire the right team, you automate the back end, you shift from being the doer to being the strategist, and I'm going to break down each one in specific detail starting now. Okay, step 1, establishing authority. Most coaches start by trying to get attention. Completely wrong move. You need to establish authority first because authority isn't something you claim, it's something that their brain assigns to you automatically before they even consciously evaluate you. Here's how that works psychologically. The subconscious mind, when someone lands on your profile for the first time, their brain makes a decision in the first 3 seconds. Not a conscious decision, but a subconscious one. Their brain is asking, is this person credible? Do they have what I need? Can I trust them? Are they an entertainer? Are they an informer? But here's what's really happening. Their brain is categorizing you into a box. You're either an entertainer, educator, authority, or a waste of time. And once you're in that box, it's almost impossible to get out of it. And here's the thing. They're not reading your entire bio. They're not analyzing your offer. They're pattern matching. Their brain is looking for signals of authority, social proof, clarity, positioning, proof of results. All those are signals that are already on your page. Their brain categorizes you immediately as this person is the leader. And if you're not positioned that way, their brain categorizes you as this is another random coach and I shouldn't listen to him. This is what happens before they even read a single post. This is why your foundation has to be flawless because you don't get a second chance at the first impression. Now there's 4 authority signals that you have to look at. Signal 1 is social proof. It's called heuristic processing in psychology. Mental shortcuts that the brain uses to make fast decisions. When someone sees 99 plus track client revenue in my bio, their brain doesn't verify that number. No one's going through and fact checking that, even though it is true. Their brain just thinks this person has helped a lot of people. They must be credible. I should hear out what they have to say. That is a mental shortcut, and it works because the brain is lazy. It does not want to evaluate everything from scratch. Signal 2 is outcome clarity, aka pattern recognition. Your brain is already wired to recognize patterns. It's how we operate as humans. And one of the strongest patterns is problem to solution. And when I say scaling coaches to 100K a month with subconscious conversion, their brain automatically categorizes who I help, which is coaches, what I do, which is scale to 100K a month, how I do it, which is my mechanism. If their brain can't immediately pattern match you to their problem, you lose them right there. Signal 3 is the mechanism differentiation. Now, the brain is attracted to novelty. novelty, things that feel new or different. If I just said I help coaches scale, their brain groups me with every other business coach out there. But when I say subconscious conversion, their brain categorizes me as this is different. I haven't heard of this before. This is new. And that's how you remove yourself from the competition. You're not better. You're categorized differently from the rest in their mind. Signal 4 in the last signal is risk removal. The brain is hardwired to avoid loss more than it seeks gain. This is called loss aversion. So when I say in my offer with the guarantee, if you do the work and you don't get the results, I'll work with you for free or I'll refund you. Their brain shifts from what if I pay and it doesn't work to I can't lose. It's a win-win situation. This is not a sales tactic. This is just removing the subconscious barrier that limits you from action. Now, what is the result of all this? When your authority is dialed, people don't question if you can help them. They question if they're the right fit for you. That's the shift. I could show you DMs right now that I have people asking me of saying, yo, do you help clothing brands? Do you help this and this? Please help me on whatever. And it's not my ideal niche, so I don't take them. But the real question is, can this guy work with me in particular? It's not, should I work with him? Their brain has already categorized you as the answer. You just have to confirm it. But authority alone doesn't scale. You need attention, but not random attention, strategic attention that reinforces the authority that you built in that foundation. And that's exactly what step 2 is. Now, step 2, we're getting into magnetizing the attention on your actual profile in this foundation that you build. Now, most coaches post content and hope it works. They're just guessing. They're posting random stuff. They pick up a video, they record, they talk to the camera, and they think that's going to work. Subconscious conversion is the direct opposite. Every piece of content has a job, and that job is to program belief without the person realizing that it's even happening. Now, here's the psychology behind it. When someone sees your content for the first time, their brain asks a simple question: do I recognize this person? No, so they scroll. But the second time they see you, the third time they see you, the fifth time they see you, their brain starts to categorize you as familiar. And familiarity breeds trust. This is called the mere exposure effect. The more time someone is exposed to something, the more they trust it, even if they can't consciously explain why. Now, you're not trying to convince your clients in one post, and you're not trying to go viral and hope they remember you. You're programming belief through repetition. And here's the key: their brain doesn't consciously track how many times they've seen you. Think about someone you watch. You don't sit there and count, oh, this is my 12th time seeing his reel. It just knows that you're familiar with that person, and familiar feels safe and trustworthy. Now, there's 3 layers to the actual content system that I build out within this mechanism. Repetition alone isn't enough. You need to install specific beliefs at a stage. This is where my actual funnel comes in. Now, layer 1 of this funnel is awareness, aka top of funnel content. This is the first exposure. Now, the goal of this isn't to sell, it's to get them to recognize that you exist. Psychologically, what's happening is pattern interruption. You're breaking their scroll with something relatable, broad, or personal. An example is like a vlog of me traveling, right? A clip of me buying my dream car, a story of my journey. Their brain categorizes it now as, okay, I've seen this person. 1 foot in the door. Now, the second layer of this is trust, and trust is middle of funnel content. Now, what this is knowing what you're talking about, showing off direct value. You're not selling, you're teaching. You're breaking down the frameworks, you're giving away value. Psychologically, what's happening here is authority installation. The brain is now asking, does this person actually know what they're doing? So the first step is now, okay, I'm aware of this guy. Now it's, does he know what he's doing? An example is, here's 3 types of guarantees you can use in your offer. Here's how you scale. Here's how you use subconscious conversion. This video itself, right? Your brain watching this video categorizes me as, okay, this guy looks like he knows what he's talking about. Now, here's a subconscious shift. They don't just see you as familiar now. They see you as familiar and credible, which lays into the third layer, which is conversion or bottom of funnel. This is proof, testimonials, case studies, client wins. Psychologically, what's happening is social proof confirmation. Their brain is asking, does this actually work? An example is, here's how I took this client from 0 to 100K in 90 days. Here's the key. By the time they see the proof, they've already been conditioned by layers 1 and 2. So their brain doesn't question it. It confirms what they've already started to believe. They are aware of you. They know that you know what you're talking about. Now, this is the cherry on top. The sale is already happening. They just don't realize it yet. Now, why do most coaches fail at this exact moment? Because they only post one type of content. If you only post awareness content, you posting generalized stuff, you're just entertaining people. You're not converting them. They know you exist, but they don't trust you or believe you can help. If you only post proof content showing off testimonials, you're pitching to complete cold audiences. It feels pushy because they haven't been conditioned yet. You need to have all 3 layers working together. I do 40% awareness, 40% value, and 20% actual conversion focused. None of this is guessing. I'm engineering the funnel so that by the time someone DMs me, their subconscious has already decided. They've seen me enough times to be familiar with me. They consumed enough value to trust me, and they've seen enough proof to believe I can deliver for them. Now, the result is that content becomes a belief installation system, not a visibility play. When someone DMs you after seeing your content, they're not asking, can you help me? Their subconscious has already answered that. They already know that you can help them. They're asking, how do I get started? What is the next step for me? And that's the shift. And that's exactly where we go into step 3. So now they trust you. They see your content. They believe you can help. But here's where psychology gets even more interesting, because now we move from programming belief to activating commitment. And that is all about having a seamless sales process. Step 3. Now, by this point, just to recap, they've seen your authority. They've been conditioned by your content. The psychology shifts from programming belief to actually activating the commitment on top of your offer. Here's the key. Steps 1 and 2 are done. The brain has already made the decision to buy. It just needs permission to actually act on it. That's what step 3 does. You're not convincing, you're activating. meaning. And here's exactly how that works. When someone DMs you after consuming your content, something has already happened in their brain. They visited your profile, they watched your reels, they've seen your testimonials, maybe they clicked your link, maybe they saved the post. Each one of these actions sends a signal to their subconscious saying, I'm interested in this. And here's the psychology. The brain hates inconsistency, and that's called a consistency bias. Once the brain categorizes you as someone interested in the solution, it will subconsciously push you to stay with that identity. So when you DM them or when they DM you, they're not entering the conversation skeptical. They're entering it already committed to the idea that they need help. Your job is not to sell to them. Your job is to reflect back on your own desire and remove the last barrier to action. The DM conversation has one psychological goal: to make them verbally commit to their pain and desire. Because once they say it once out loud, their brain locks it in. And here's the mental process behind it. First, you break the actual sales guard. When someone DMs you, their subconscious is this person trying to sell me? They have a guard up, right? If you come in with a pitch, the brain activates psychological reactance, resistance to being influenced. So you start off human, casual, no agenda, no sales. This disarms the guard. The brain categorizes the conversation as this is just normal convo. It's just small talk. Then you make them diagnose their own problem. You ask questions that make them verbalize the actual pain that they're going through. And you can see it on the screen here, but stuff like, what's your biggest bottleneck? Have you tried already? How long have you been struggling with this? What did you do that didn't work? The psychology behind it is when they verbalize the pain, they own it. And the brain now thinks about it consciously rather than just subconsciously. Their brain shifts from I might have a problem to I definitely have this problem and I need a solution. And I'm starting to think that this guy that I'm talking to is the solution. And that's commitment. And once they've committed, the brain will stay consistent with that. Finally, your offer clarity is not a pitch. You're not selling your program. You're offering clarity on the solution. The brain doesn't resist clarity. It wants the clarity. So it obviously says yes. And that's exactly how you get people over to the actual sales call. Now, by the time they get on the sales call, the decision has been made to buy from you. The call isn't about convincing them. It's about confirming what the brain has decided and making it a formality. You reinforce trust through the actual rapport. Small talk isn't filler. It keeps your psychological guard down. The brain needs to feel safe before it commits to something. Rapport builds that safety, and then you deepen their commitment by making them repeat the pain. So the same stuff they told you in the DMs, you go through the same conversation, make them verbalize it out loud for you on call so you have ammunition and they restate it for themselves in terms of what the right action step that they need to take is. So now they're committed to finding a solution, and you present the solution as the next logical step. You're not selling now. You're mapping their brain's desired outcome to be your system. The brain sees the pattern and thinks, this solves my problem. So you remove the last barrier and the sale becomes effortless. And all that's left is collecting the payment. Now we've talked about how to make sure people see you as the go-to, how to attract them, and how to close them. Now here's the problem. You cannot scale this way yourself. Eventually you become the bottleneck, or your time becomes the bottleneck. And if the system depends on you being in every single conversation, you're building a job and you're not building a business. And that's exactly where step 4 comes in. And that's removing yourself without breaking the system. So we're going to talk about step 4, which is systemizing the actual conversion aspect. Now, you don't scale by doing more. You scale by removing yourself. And you scale by only doing tasks that'll move the needle rather than doing the same repeatable daily tasks like posting content and taking sales calls. But here's the psychological problem most people face. They think the client is buying from them personally. They're not. The client is buying the pattern. And if you can replicate the pattern through your teams and systems, the brain doesn't know the difference between you and the next guy. And that's how you scale without losing conversion quality. Here's how that works. When someone buys from you, they're not actually buying you. They're buying the authority signal that you've created. They're buying the actual feeling that you've given them. And now the brain categorizes authority based on pattern recognition, not individual identity. If your setter uses the same language, asks the same diagnostic questions, it follows the same process, the brain won't know the difference between you and the setter. That's why it works so well. It goes to show that they follow the pattern and not the actual person. This is called authority transfer, and it's how you remove yourself from the business without breaking the actual system. So now you have to talk about how you're going to build leverage through this actual team, giving you your time back. The first thing you need to understand is you are not hiring people to help you. You are hiring people to replicate the exact same pattern that you were doing yourself, and they need to fit that role perfectly to execute without there being any sort of discrepancy. Every person you add multiplies the subconscious authority signal you've created. When you hire a setter, they replicate your actual diagnostic process. Same questions, same language, same energy. The prospect's brain doesn't care if it's you or your setter. It recognizes the pattern and thinks this person knows what they're talking about. It accelerates the convo. It still gets a booked call. Now that's the authority transfer. When you hire an editor, they ensure the content keeps running, right? They post the 3 types of content we talked about earlier consistently. Your brain trusts consistency. If you post regularly, the subconscious keeps categorizing you as active and relevant, and making sure that he's aligned and making sure that the editor is aligned with your vision on content will make sure it's consistency throughout the whole brand overall. They use your framework. They use the same structure, the same questions. If the pattern isn't consistent, the brain doesn't resist. When you hire something like a CSM, a client success manager, they deliver the same frameworks, use the same language, create the same outcomes, deliver the same value. The brain doesn't need you to be the vessel that delivers a result. It needs the system to actually get them that end goal. Now, the key is every person you add doesn't dilute your authority. It amplifies it because the brain sees that this person has a team. That's a real operation. This is not just a side hustle or a side project or something small. And the subconscious categorization changes everything. You go from this is a person that just might be able to help me to this is a actual proper company that has systems in place and is performing. That's leverage. And what happens psychologically when you remove yourself is the business becomes bigger than you in their mind. They start thinking about it as this big corporate foundation rather than just being one face that they originally had bought from. When it was just you, the brain thought, if this person stops, the business stops. When you have a team, the brain thinks this is a system, this is sustainable, and this is 100% going to work. That's how you build trust at scale. And that's how you go from being a freelancer to being a company in their subconscious. Now, you are not the bottleneck anymore. Your business runs, leads come in, calls get booked, clients get onboarded, and results get delivered, all with you not focusing on anything internally. And the subconscious shift in how the market sees you is everything. You go from this is a person to this is a business, this is a company, this is a system that's performing. And that's what allows you to scale past that 100K mark, 200K, 500K, and you name it, because the business is no longer depending on you being in every conversation, but rather all you have to do is share your knowledge and keep growing it from the back end. The pattern is what converts, and the pattern is replicable. So that's the system. 4 steps: establish authority, magnetize attention, have seamless sales, and have systemized conversion. But I know what you're thinking, does this actually work in practice? Now, in the last 12 months, just for myself, I've done $1.3 million in revenue using this exact system. I'm 22, I work a few hours a day, I travel whenever I want. I'm in the middle of Serbia right now. I'm not in the DMs, I'm not on back-to-back calls, like unless I choose to be. The business runs. And that's not because I'm special, it's because I built that exact system and my clients build the same system that allows me to have the names that I work with. If you want to know exactly how you can implement this insight into your business or start off, I want to build this for you. Here's what I recommend. Step 1 is watch my 2-hour course in the bio. It's a full breakdown of everything I just mentioned with technical details and video breakdowns. Your offer, your content, your sales process, your backend. The link is the top one in the description. Step 2, if you want to work with me directly, fill out the application. Also in the description, it'll be the second link. I work with 2 types of people. 1 is beginners who are trying to hit their first 10K a month. And then 2 is people that are already running their info companies, that are already coaches, consultants online, stuck at that 10 to 30K, trying to take it next level. So if you're serious, apply. If not, don't. I only work with people that are ready to execute, but whether you work with me or not, take the system I just gave you and implement it, because this is how you build a real business and not just a side hustle. And this is exactly what I had found that I discovered that took me from 10K a month to that 100K a month mark. And that's it for me. See you guys in the next one.